And so this year you've decided to go sort of back to agency land, I guess, and starting your own business. So tell me a little bit about that.
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, it's actually funny talking about this because I realize that is the full kind of 360. And having not chosen specifically being in creative agency world, not in a logical sense, you know, in a practical sense, I did, but it wasn't what I specifically chose. I have done a lot of thinking over what is it that I am drawn to truly, and what am I good at? Um, and I think that what I realized is that I love the creative. I love
Mm,
creativity.
mm,
I love the creative industry. I love the people that we end up working with. You know, you're an author. I know other authors and I know other musicians and artists and people that have got a real instinctive creativity are,
mm,
we come across and we work with frequently or constantly.
mm,
And I love that.
mm,
I think that
mm,
there's the creative brain is really interesting to me.
mm.
Be able to explore what things mean to us all, but in
Mm.
a slightly different way, and or not just
Yeah,
to be taught, but to
yeah.
kind of feel it and understand it.
Well, that's really interesting. And this isn't part of one of the questions we're going to talk about, but
Oh.
but just talking. I think we've talked about this in the past, like the creative personality. I think there's something within like people who run their own businesses on one hand, but also are running creative businesses. And I'm certainly the same, where I thrive on ideas and developing ideas and bringing ideas to life and working with other people on ideas. And I do wonder if there's something in the psyche of a creative person, and this is I'm talking about myself more here, but the creative person who is not just susceptible to the excitement of new creative ideas, but also susceptible to the fears that it might not work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit sensitive to feedback or criticism or what have you. I don't know. Have you ever felt that?
Oh, yeah, completely.
Mm,
Totally.
mm,
I think
mm,
that's almost why it's taken me so long to get to starting a business of my own this year.
mm,
I'm in my 40s. If I had logically written down and planned like a mathematician what my career
mm,
should look like,
mm,
I would have, should have, probably would have started it earlier, potentially. I'm not sure. But I think having self-doubt, yeah, I mean, well, I definitely have it.
mm, mm.
I think it happens to many people who are possibly more creatively minded, or maybe we acknowledge it more. Maybe everybody has
Yeah.
self-doubt.
Mm,
But yeah, I've definitely felt that and been uncertain and unclear and been afraid. I'm,
mm,
been really afraid massively.
mm,
Um, Although generally speaking, when I reflect, I've never particularly taken the easy road in any of the choices that I've made.
mm.
I mean, I possibly, would not have gone to Australia without.
We started working together about just over a year ago. So what prompted you to sign up, so to speak, and take the plunge?
Well, I mean, I think essentially I was feeling really overwhelmed. So it's more personal
Mm,
circumstances. I guess it is with everybody. But yeah, I was feeling really overwhelmed. Unfortunately, my mum has a terminal illness. And she lives on her own. And I'm the eldest of two siblings, although my sister is absolutely brilliant with her. Um, the two of us together have to look after my mum. And my dad died quite a number of years ago now. So it feels kind of scary and frightening, feeling like you kind of almost alone a bit.
mm,
At the same time, I have two young kids, and so and one, was kind of 3.5, 4 at the 4 at the time. And actually, no, she was more like 4. And so, that's quite a young child. For people who have children, they'll no.
Mm.
And,
Yes.
she's amazing, but that's, I get a shadow following me around. It's intense,
Mm.
so kind of juggling, looking after my mum and then looking after children, and the job I was in was very tough market, and
Mm.
it was the business is tough. I was in a
Mm.
role across 12, 13 different businesses. That's my role, sat as that kind of group marketing director. So I'm feeding into multiple different businesses at a time and doing all of their planning for them with, from a marketing point of view. And also, my husband at the time was made redundant, and I felt, I think, just completely overwhelmed.
Mm.
I just didn't see nothing could change. My mum's not going to get better. My kids are not going anywhere. I couldn't do anything about my job, and I couldn't do anything about my husband's job.
Mm.
And I was so overwhelmed. And then you and I bumped into each other, and you kind of told me about the program. And in fact, you were telling me more. And I think I must have told you about my husband. And you were
Mm.
like, oh,
Mm.
well, if you I could maybe help him out. And I
Mm.
remember reading your proposal and thinking, oh, forget the husband. I need it.
This is what I need.
So it just struck a chord for me. And
Mm.
I think I felt the spiritual guidance in it. I'm not a
Mm.
religious person, but there was
Mm.
something spiritually that was a trigger for me in
Mm.
what you had said.
Mm.
And I wasn't consciously looking for a spiritual solution at all. I
Mm.
really wasn't. I kind of, it was almost like I felt moments in throughout my life here and there, never consciously, but I can recognize them, and
Mm.
thought there must be more. There must be. And I don't know if something within your proposal, Simon, just felt like, do you know what? I think this could be a good solution for me. Plus, I trust you and I know
Mm.
you, and
Mm.
I don't feel, I don't feel afraid or judged
Mm.
by you.
Mm.
So that was comforting for me.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
felt comfortable to kind of go through that with you. And very much, I wanted to say that I wasn't looking for a counselor.
Mm.
Actually, I would never have gone out and Googled or done ChatGPT, who's the best, counselor in Edinburgh sort of thing.
Mm.
I wouldn't have
Mm.
done it. It wasn't what I was looking for. Something I don't want to talk about my problems.
Mm.
I'm quite conscious of that's just my life. I'm not
Mm.
asking somebody to help solve that for me. There was nothing to solve, but there was something deep inside of me that felt this can't be just everything. I can't just live continuously feeling overwhelmed forever and ever
Mm.
until I die.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so that's why I
which
chose.
is yeah, which is a really interesting point actually. One of the things I think maybe people who new to what I do and or what we're trying to do is that what you said about the inner. There's something
Yeah,
inside. Is
yeah,
the inner work, isn't it? It's that
yeah.
trying to get well, what is going on in here? Why don't I feel settled? Why don't I feel right? So there's
Yeah.
something quite well, misaligned. There's something not quite right in what's going on in
Yeah.
here. And just this sense that if I can sort this out in here, I just feel like everything else would sort it out. Is that a fair way of talking about the program?
100%. Yes.
Mm. Mm.
Yes. Because nothing can change, but I wasn't feeling any sense of peace or clarity. I couldn't see any
Mm.
end to any of
Mm.
the solutions realistically. And it
Mm.
just seems like this can't be the whole of my life. It
Mm.
can't just be everything. There's a, you can't even, and it's not about kind of going and I didn't really even feel depressed as,
No, no.
I didn't, people would maybe say, what about antidepressants? But I was like, I don't feel depressed. I just
Mm.
feel like, I just feel overwhelmed.
Mm.
How does that, and without changing any of the circumstances, there must be a way to living with more ease.
Mm. Yeah.
And
And
peace.
was that really what your expectations were, or were you quite open-minded? You know, when we've
Oh,
like
I was
say
so open-minded.
right.
I didn't really understand
Mm.
if like what
What the hell was going on?
No, I didn't because
Mm,
I didn't know. No, I'd
mm,
not done anything like that before.
no.
I trusted you, Simon,
Yeah.
and I felt that I think given your personal circumstances, I was like, well, here's somebody who's gone through personally an awful lot, and
Mm,
um now can you really do seem grounded and clear, and that it's not just about not drinking.
mm,
It's
mm,
more than
mm,
that, and I could see
mm.
that, and so I was intrigued, but I had no idea what you were gonna do.
Okay, which is fair enough. Yeah, and I think that's again part of this, part of the challenge for me, and one of the reasons why I'm
Yeah,
say thank you for doing this is that it's very hard for me to articulate, you know, what is the benefit or what are the benefits of going through the
yeah,
program and being open-minded and, you know, doing all the things that we've done. And so getting some depth from you in this format, hopefully that comes
yeah,
out. And because of people go, as long as, you know, well, I'm not sure we'll get out of it in terms of these are the specifics.
yeah.
But when you look back, you know, over the last 12, 13 months, what are the two or three things or however many things have really sort of stuck with you, which about, you know, I guess the impact that, you know, of what's happened?
Yes. So, I mean, I think the one thing that stood out to me when we were working together was, your encouragement to do meditation.
Mm,
Now I found that personally really hard.
mm.
I really try.
Lots of people do. Yeah.
I really try. My brain just starts going in different places. And I try to bring it back to breath. But what I have taken from the work with you is the journaling and
Mm,
writing and as the daily habits. I am now like really weirdly almost I will admit it, a bit addicted to doing it. I feel like I
mm,
need to do it every morning
mm,
and every night, and I have to write down what I'm feeling grateful for.
mm,
And the
mm,
things that stand out to me are the kind of core things are gratefulness and letting go.
mm, mm,
So I write the three things I'm grateful for each day in the morning, and I write, how I'm going to make today wonderful, and how I'm going to what I'll focus on. In
mm,
a way, it's just a shorthand list of
mm,
organizing everything that's in here. But for me, before I get to my work, I write lists after lists after lists for everything that I've got to do at work. But actually, the habits that you kind of taught me and the journaling is for me and
mm,
myself and my identity and keeping me centered on me rather than getting pulled into this is what I've got to do for this person or that job or that,
mm,
for my mom or, for any of these things. I have a moment of connection every day just for myself.
mm,
And that has been, I think, life changing for me
mm, mm,
and has really brought me back and made me feel much more grounded,
mm.
calmer. I breathe now. I think I remember breathing up here, like
Yeah.
I think possibly for years, and now I breathe from my belly, and it's
Mm,
you
mm,
know feels so different.
mm,
Um, so I love I love the practice of journaling every day. I love the practice of consciously thinking, what can I let go in each
mm,
situation, and even the reflecting again at the end of the day, we're always going to come across a circumstance that's maybe frustrating or a person that, you know, reads us wrong and you think, no, 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 that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. No, 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 no.
mm,
And you can kind of get a bit and a bit frustrated, but actually I just let go. It's fine.
mm,
Doesn't really matter what that person thinks or if they've misunderstood me. Um, there's one other thing, and I remember you telling me about it, but I can't remember the name of the book now, but you will,
Right.
I'm sure.
So
But
which one's
it's about being impeccable with your word.
oh, yeah, the 4 agreements.
The four agreements, there we
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
So I try to I think of that quite often,
Mm,
actually. And
mm,
I'm thinking I've always got to be impeccable with my words. I try really hard to
mm,
only say what I truly think,
mm.
rather and in the right way, rather than I don't know why I'm saying this because I feel like I'm just vomiting words at you right now, but
No, no, it's good. I like it. I love
you're
it.
speaking a lot. I am trying to be impeccable with my words.
Mm, yeah. And so I guess it's interesting. So, things you talked about there, you talk about being grounded and investing
Yeah.
time in yourself, which is a big thing. I think one of my observations working with, people like yourself, people in high up in marketing or running their own business or what have you, is they're so focused on their job and I need to do this that they often forget that to invest time on themselves
Yeah.
and be and I think a lot of the time it's not because it's a lot of the time is because they believe they want to be responsible, and the
Yeah.
responsible thing is to go and do the work because that's important. I need to look after the business. I need to earn money to look
Yeah.
after the kids, etc. So it's through a sense of doing the right thing that people put their work first rather than themselves first. But for
Mhm.
you, that's the practice. Well, obviously, there were all the things we talked about, and things like the books
Yeah.
and the concepts we talked about. But this practice of putting yourself first and grounding yourself, and
Yeah.
centering yourself through
Yeah.
journaling, meditation, whatever it might be. How has that had a positive impact on what you do as work from a work point of view, rather than just being, I feel just a nice sort of sense of calm? Has it had it the positive impact on work?
Yeah. I
Mm,
mean, yes. I mean, my life has changed hugely, and in very unexpected ways since we worked together. Um, so I would say in the last 13 months, yeah, I mean, a lot has happened to me personally. And yeah, the job situation has completely changed. I've started my
mm,
own business this year, only 3 months in, so I'm brand new. And the thing I feel is by concentrating or making space for myself and me, it really helped me to identify what is it that I really want.
mm,
Instead of thinking I need to do that and that and that and that because I need to pay the bill, look after my mom, do this for work, we've
mm,
all of our lives are built like that. You have to go to work because you have to do that. You have to look after these little people because
mm,
you adore them. But there's all of these things that we have to do, and the older you get, the realization is that what am I doing for myself? And even from a health and well-being perspective, I exercise a lot. I run. I'm not going to say I'm good at running, but I'm a runner. And that
mm,
um and I go on huge like big bike rides, and I do loads of walking, and I do a bit of weights when I'm interested enough, and things like that, and yoga. So I,
mm,
I do all of these things, and it's like I'm doing all of the things that I know that I should be doing to look after myself. I'm doing all of the planning and the organization that I need to do to look after myself. But what was missing was this mental well-being thing
mm,
that I
mm,
think I got from you or
mm,
learnt from you, which was about taking the work away, taking the physical health away, thinking about my mental health. What is it I can do, practically speaking, to help me feel more grounded and more aligned to what I want for me
mm,
without
mm,
all of the other responsibilities and letting all of that lose volume in the noise in my head,
mm,
to
mm,
turn that volume dial down on all of that and to let my brain sit with just me.
mm.
And that has been the life-changing thing for me
Right.
because
Yeah.
in that quiet, I have seen I don't want to work in that job.
Mm, mm,
I don't. I think I knew it, but I was too busy to notice it, which is
mm,
all part of making space to allow for that quiet and to and making space to allow your brain to think and to catch up with itself. Because I'd lost track. I was so busy being busy.
mm, mm,
So I realized then, what is it that I really want to do? What is my nature? What's in my nature? You know, what makes me calm, happy, excited? Where do my ideas come from? What is it I really want to think about? And having that quiet time for me helped
mm,
me see that more clearly. And for me, that has ended up being one that I want to work for myself,
mm.
which is quite a big, scary move.
Big scary. Yeah, but it is. It's a bit. It's not scary. It is
But
a
to a
big
lot
move.
of people, it is
Yes,
scary, isn't
it
it?
is. It is. It is scary. Yeah.
So yeah, and it's and I still have fear. Fear
Mm,
is still definitely there. I just try to not let it control me and
mm,
my
mm.
decisions.
Yeah.
Because if I let fear control my decisions about my life, I don't know. It would be I just live a life I don't really want to live.
Yeah, and very constricting. I think
Yeah.
I think well, we talked about. But it's interesting we talk about what was the stillness in the silence that we cultivate. We talk about or we practice in the mornings. Getting to understand what's going on in here. And I think that's we talked about the true self and the false self, and being in touch with that true essence, that true our nature. You called it our nature, our true nature, our authentic nature, and being able to listen to that. But it's not through necessarily writing lots of lists. It's a sensing, isn't it? You just sense what feels right, what the world is calling from you, which sounds a bit woo
Yeah.
woo, but it's
Yeah.
true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And because the other thing about we've talked about is the false self, the ego, just
Yeah.
having these stories running around our heads, like I must do this, I must do that, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da, and I can't do that because it's not the right time.
Yeah.
And those stories tend to be
Yeah.
fear based, as you said. They tend to be, and they'll keep you sort of penned in.
Contained and penned in. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, I I think, is there is it self-esteem or confidence? I feel like I would say to my kids, you can do anything. You
Mm,
really can do anything.
mm,
You know, um, just if you want to, because we all can.
mm,
Ultimately, we all can do anything we want. If know what it is that you want, you can do anything. I just don't think I ever thought that for myself.
mm,
Or had the confidence to think, I haven't trained in this. Can I do that? It's a kind of a logical. I think maybe we're all kind of if these are the what you're good at school, and you get some exams, or you go to university and you get some things, and then you get some work experience. But even in work these days, if you've gone too far down this path, you'll speak to a recruiter or two, and they'll go, "Oh, there's no chance you can go in that way because you've gone too far that way. No one will want you in that way." And I think we all feel a bit hemmed in. And
mm,
actually, stuff it.
mm,
I've got to a point where you just go, stuff it. And I know what I can do, I guess.
mm,
I've got more confidence over the 25 years that I've been working to go, I actually do know what I can do. And I do know what I am interested in.
mm.
And now I just have to apply that confidence for doing it for myself.
Mm.
And
Which
maybe we
is
don't all have the skills, but you can at least take the steps to get the skills towards the direction that you want to go in if it's not the direction you're currently in.
Yeah, and I guess that you just said right at the beginning, that was the clarity, I guess, that came through as we were
Yeah.
working. There's a sense of a direction and a
Yeah.
clarity to that direction. But then I think there's one thing having clarity, then there's another thing doing it. And I know
Yeah.
that we've talked about doing it, and now I'm going, oh my God, I felt like a bit responsible. It's like shit, so I shouldn't swear, but she's
I
going
know.
to do it, and like who's going, hold on, just before you do it. And I suppose I felt a little bit responsible for that, but because one of the things we've talked about is just because you're having clarity about a direction doesn't necessarily mean it's going to result in great financial wealth or great,
Yeah. Yeah.
success in other realms. And
No.
so, but we've talked about that, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter because what does success look like anyway? So,
Yes.
from your point of view, again, just having that clarity, but
Yeah.
then going, well, I'm going to ask you, what does success look like for you
Yeah.
now?
So yeah, you're completely right, because my vision is not a financial goal.
Mm,
That's not for me what I have in mind. So one of the other things that you told me to do during the program was to write my reimagined
mm,
vision. And I read that every day, and it helps keep me on track with the life and the vision I have, the life that I want to live, the life that in a way I'm already living.
mm,
And that vision for me is it's about building authentic connections between people. And that has led to my idea. And it's the authenticity of of people being able to connect with each other, the stories that we can tell and share to
mm,
keep us human, that really interests me and that I
mm,
get personal joy out of. So my the concept for the business that I've started is about it's called authentic spaces, but it's all in order to create authentic to provide the space to create
mm,
authentic connections. And that realistically is essentially a mixture of my career, funnily enough, about
mm,
branding. But that wasn't come to by a rational decision, actually. It just feels like, well, my life must have taken me through those roles and, you know, jobs that I have done through my career, because I've been learning inherently about what it is I am attracted to more. So, what I want to do is create brand immersive experiences ultimately. My interest in interior design, my interest in brand authenticity, about that authentic connection created between a brand and a consumer, can be more than what I think we do at the present. And for me, it's done actually very well in retail space. Museums are getting better at it, and tourist attractions and things like that. They're really good at thinking about how do we bring the Guinness to life in Dublin. We're going to
mm,
make it a much more immersive experience going around the museum, understand the history of Guinness and interactivity around that. They're very much kind of consumer led products. But given my personal working history, where I've been in much more kind of B2B spaces, but also retail, but in a kind of trade, manufacturing, construction space, rather than kind of the glamorous worlds of Gucci and Space NK or anything like that.
mm,
I'm not in that space, and that's not my experience. But I really think that there is a massive opportunity for professional services in particular to provide genuine brand immersive experiences.
mm,
And that for me is, again, because branding can sometimes be seen by professional service businesses as a set of brand guidelines and a logo, and here's something that you put at the bottom of your email, and maybe some branded social media assets.
mm, mm,
That for me doesn't depict what a brand actually is.
mm,
For me, branding is the feeling, so everything that you get from a business when you work with it, or you interact with it. So when you go into the Ivy restaurant, you can go in Edinburgh, you could go in Leeds, you could go in London, and it's the same brand experience that you're getting from going into the Ivy. You know what
mhm,
to expect. You know what the decor looks like. The staff are all trained in the same way. They present in the same way. you know what the flow of going to that restaurant's going to be.
Mm,
And you're signed up to that because for you, you think, that's me. That appeals. That's the place I want to go to, or maybe it doesn't. And in fact, it's some kind of much, more, psychedelic sort of cool young
mm,
bar that's really completely different. And because that bar is set up for a very different audience. So the
mm,
point is that your hospitality is a good industry for me to use as a reference because I think people understand what that means in
mm,
the world of hospitality. But when we think of that in the world of professional services in particular, they all kind of seem the same. They've all
yeah.
got a logo or, they all offer the same services, but there's no differentiation. So from the consumer's perspective, it's generally word of mouth,
Mm,
to start talking to anybody.
mm,
And not just professional services, but construction, um, manufacturing. There's a really wonderful business that creates exceptionally sustainable air conditioning and heating units. But how does that make that brand different to an alternative or a competitor? And how do you choose amongst them apart from reading the specifications page?
mm,
There's not enough brand immersive experience coming across for a customer or client to walk through that door to kind of go, yeah, this is my space. And I could see why this space is for me and this business is for me or this product is for me.
mm, mm.
So for me, that's the territory that I want to go into because it excites me.
It's fantastic, and it's a very and I love the title, "Authentic Spaces." So I feel like I'm very connected to that myself. And actually, just on that, so we're talking about this is for me, this isn't for me. So so I'm obviously trying to um, introduce this program, this way of thinking, or this way of being to other people, particularly in the creative business
Yeah.
space and leaders and like yourself. So who do you think, if you were to describe the sort of person that would benefit from this, how would you, who would benefit? Who would this program be for?
Well, I truly think anybody in who wants, I actually don't think I think it could apply to any business owner,
Mm,
Simon. I really do, because I think it's about providing that clarity. It's
mm,
useful that you have got experience in running, an award-winning brand agency. You know what you're talking about and
mm,
and you understand that sector. So I think absolutely that's a really good um easy route because those people are going to, you understand them, you understand the world in which they're operating. And I think
mm,
that and right now it is a difficult time to start, or for any agencies, I mean, everybody talks about AI and,
mm,
what's happening with the skills and, what's that future going to look like? And can we just do more ourselves? And, I have had people say to me, oh, I'd be worried about your job because you're in marketing. So
mm, mm,
anyone can do marketing now. And I'm like, well, and that's the mindset that sits out there. But instead of finding that frightening, I would personally rather take advantage of all the tools that I can use. And in fact, it's making my life easier because I can do much more by myself, but
mm,
it can't replace at the minute what I can do for businesses. So
mm,
I think it really helps creative business owners but actually I think it could help anybody who is thinking about their career paths
mm,
in particular, because the noise of the global markets, the global economy, and what's happening in the world right now is frightening and makes people panic more. And
mm,
actually, I think that if you could tap into that, where all these people are feeling worried and concerned about their future, to just kind of go and breathe and ground yourself and then
mm,
refocus and not feel constrained by this is always what you've done, so this is what you must do. You're now stuck forever.
mm, mm,
Life is short. We can change it any time. We
mm,
can still do it. It just means that we might have to adapt. And I think that your program is really helpful in enabling people to see that
mm,
and giving them the confidence to breathe because, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to earn a certain amount of money within 3 years, that's a different goal
yeah,
than
yeah.
if you want to
So that maybe
live in
not
peace and
person.
harmony and do something that makes you feel fulfilled. Those two might not align.
Mm, mm,
But, so it's about the people that want to find real purpose within their work life, I guess. I think that
mhm,
could really help. Your
mm.
program could really help.
Okay, perfect. Very good. And is there anything you wish was different with the program? And again, being honest, it'd be good to get that feedback, and things I could
Mm.
improve upon, or even if people watching this are about to thinking, oh, I might want to do this. Maybe any warnings that you would give them?
No, I know. No, I mean, I think I'm quite open to it. I think you were quite upfront and honest. You were a bit like, some of it sounds a bit woo woo. And as
Mm.
we've already touched on, I'm not religious. I don't think you're religious
No, no,
still,
no, 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 no.
but yeah, I think you have to be just open. And if
Mm,
you're open-minded and willing to listen, to learn, to see, and to give it time, actually,
mm,
because it was a
yes.
process. You're not going to get it done, overnight. You're
Mm,
not coming to the person with, here is your solution.
mm,
You're helping guide them and taking them through that process. I think everybody just needs to know that just bear with that program and then see where you get to at the end. No, I really enjoyed it.
Because it's quite a long. It took us. Well, I mean, if it went, it could like 3, 4 months. Probably 4 months is probably the
Yeah,
quickest. But I think we ended up doing it over 9 months or something
longer.
longer. Yeah, but if that happens, you go.
Yeah,
What have you. So it isn't. It is. You're right. It's not a quick fix, and I've often thought about that. Maybe you should shorten it so it's more accessible. But I suppose that's the point. It takes time, doesn't it? It just takes
it
time
just
to.
takes time. And
Mm,
it's also, and what I really did enjoy was kind of recapping, especially when we got to the end, because there was a lot
mm.
there and there were a lot of
We
things.
did cover. There is a lot of content, isn't
There's a
there?
lot of content, and you were like explaining and really, and then there would be a week and they'd kind of digest it and try, and then I would be kind of trying to do the work. And then it was almost like it needed a bit of time. In a way, I quite liked it taking longer because then I had time
Mm,
to also, in my own space and time, apart from our sessions, to really try to kind of go, oh yeah, okay, now, it's just got to kind of
mm,
filter through the brain and
yes,
then
no, it does.
to
No,
resonate.
yeah, totally. Fantastic. Well, those are all the questions. Is there any other comments you'd like to
Well,
leave before we finish?
um, yes, I'm going to say that things happened in the 13, well, no, it didn't take us that long, but things happened during the time after I'd signed up to your program
Mm.
that were completely unforeseen and that could were really bad.
They were. They weren't
They were
great,
really
were
bad.
they? But
um,
life circumstances
just
weren't
happens.
great. Yeah.
No, no. And it seems serendipitous that we had kind of talked at that point in time to kind of for us to start your program. And despite things being really tough, I have to say that it's been 13 months since we first started working together. And in
Mm,
those 13 months, although we didn't work for the full 13 months, as I say, it,
mm,
but since that we started our program 13 months ago, I have found more peace, clarity, and true moments of joy
mm,
more in the last 13 months than realistically the previous 13 years, which is
mm,
slightly astounding. Not that I'd never felt those things before, but I'm
mm,
much more conscious of them and I feel so much happier in my life as a whole now,
mm. mm,
even though things are not, I'm only 3 months into the business. It could fail. Who knows?
mm.
um,
Could
it
be a
could be
good
a
thing, could
roaring
be a bad
success.
thing.
Who knows? But I'm really thoroughly enjoying the process.
Mm,
And I found it really useful, even in those moments. I think you and I spoke to each other a couple of weeks ago because I had a
mm,
severe moment of panic. Like, I need to land work clients. Ah! And I was
mm,
like, and my brain went to, this is ridiculous. I need to get a job. So I've just got stable income. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to look after my kids.
mm,
All of
mm,
the stuff, the heavy stuff came back into my brain, and I did go online to just look at jobs, and I felt utter dread and
mm,
depression. And I phoned you and I was like, is it right that I feel this instinct of dread and depression at any of the jobs that I'm looking at? And, and I think that set off your fear because you, as you said before, you were slightly worried about me going off and doing this and so on.
mm,
And, but, you know, so quickly I came 360 and I was like, no, I know I don't want to do that. I want to do what I'm doing. And if I need to adapt and find, other income streams to help support, make my dream and ambition, come to life, then so be it. And I'm okay with that.
mm,
And different doors open. It's weird. But yeah, that sense of fear will probably be a reoccurring thing. I can't imagine never feeling fear ever again, but I know I feel so much better prepared to deal with it and to recognize my own gut instincts and to have more confidence in my own gut feelings as well.
mm.
So,
Yeah, and actually and that's an interesting point actually, is that I guess that the program is the program, it's however many months it takes,
yeah,
but it doesn't stop there, does it?
no,
It's there, it's with you. It's almost there with you for life
forever.
then,
Yeah,
forever. Because and I think once you've gone through it, you can't unsee the change. You can't go back to the way you were, I don't
just
believe.
no, I don't think I could
No,
ever
and
do it.
no, because I think the fear. What's interesting, actually, just what you said, is that because I recognise that the fear will come up. Fear always does. The
Mm,
unexpected circumstances or a story pops into your head, and you go, oh, "I need to go back to the old way of thinking." And as soon as you do that, and you had it with looking for jobs, you just go, "That is just not right."
yeah,
That instinct you said, or intuition. What
yeah,
you. I think one of the things I found going through the program myself,
yeah,
is that you become so much more attuned to what is right, which sometimes isn't logical, but it's going on in here. You just go, I can't, that's not, that path is no longer available to me. So that might be scary,
yeah.
but that's what's my future. Because that is definitely not my future. And I think,
It's so
so
extraordinary.
that clarity you talked about is almost like an inner clarity emerges.
Totally.
But also then the ability to deal with the fear that
Yeah,
crops up once you start following that inner clarity, and it is a bit, from where you were and where I was, but it's not very logical, because I think in our society, our culture, we talked about performance and data, or what have you. We're so driven by, well, the right thing to do is this: go to university, get a good
yeah,
degree, get a job,
yeah,
and you do this, and you earn so much money, and then you buy a
yeah,
house, and you're off on that path. And then somewhere, you just go, something's not right. It's like exactly where you were at the beginning. There is something not right in
yeah,
here.
yeah,
I'm overwhelmed. It doesn't feel right.
yeah,
Something's wrong, which you
yeah,
can't really name. They say it's not. I don't want
yeah.
a therapist. I don't want a counselor. But I
No,
don't want a new strategy. There's something on in here.
something in
When you go through
here.
the program, yeah, and that sort of resolves itself, and you just
Yeah.
go, right. So that's where I'm meant to be. That's where I'm going now.
And everything feels easier, I think, after that, doesn't it? Well,
It does.
you
Well,
still have the
easier.
fear, but everything
Yeah.
feels easier because you're like, I feel more in tune with myself and I
Mm.
know
Yeah,
what I want.
when we talk about, we often talked about, like, nature, or the
Yes.
energy of life, and you just feel like right, that's what I'm aligned with. That's what I'm
Yeah.
you talk attuned. I'm attuned to, and I've, I'm just going to go with it. That whole point about
Yeah.
surrender is that I can't change these things.
Yes.
What's going to happen in the global economy will happen. I
Yeah.
could like to influence it to some degree, but I can't change it to suit
No.
me and my business as it stands now. But if I allow myself to be guided or just drifting along that path and just being aware of things, like you say, opportunities arise. You go,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. Because if
Yeah.
you've totally feared and going, oh no, I need to do that now, you miss
Yeah.
those things.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Because and that was exactly what that fear was to me the few weeks ago. That it was, logically, my brain was going, "You need a job because you need to, pay bills,
Is that how
protect."
your logical brain talks to you?
Yes, it's got that
Like a
voice.
robot?
It speaks very differently. Oh, my intuitive voice is like, "Hey, man, go with the flow." Yeah, but so no, it's just yeah, my life really does feel immensely lighter since we did the program, and it is a life-changing thing, definitely. For me, it has been
Mm,
because I
mm,
am still doing it and continuing to learn, you know.
mm. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I am, I'm 10 years into this, really, I guess, and
yeah,
it goes ups and downs, but, no, it's brilliant. So listen, Annie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you
you're welcome.
coming on to speak to me on the online. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the program, Simon.